I took care of my parents for 10 years. Then they secretly sold my childhood home behind my back. For 10 years, I helped my parents financially, emotionally, and physically. I paid off their debts, took care of the house, and made sure they never had to struggle. They always told me, "This house will be yours one day." I believed them. Until one day, I came home and found out they had sold it behind my back. They took the money, packed their bags, and told me, "You're on your own now." They thought I'd just accept it and move on. But if they thought they could betray me and get away with it, they had no idea what I was about to do next. Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. For 10 years, I dedicated my life to taking care of my parents. I wasn't rich, but I made sure they never had to worry. I paid off their debts, covered bills when they were short, and even did all the maintenance on the house so they wouldn't have to hire someone. It was our family home, the house I had grown up in, the place where every childhood memory lived, and they always reassured me, "This house will be yours one day. Everything we're doing is for you." I believed them. But I should have paid closer attention, because while I was working overtime to make sure they were comfortable, they were making plans behind my back. And one day, I came home and found out my entire life had been sold out from under me. It started with small things. They began avoiding serious conversations, especially anything about the house or finances. Whenever I asked about home repairs or investments, my dad would say, "We'll figure it out later." And my mom, she'd just change the subject. I chalked it up to them getting older. Maybe they were just stressed. But then, one afternoon, I came home from work and saw something that made my stomach drop. There was a "for sale" sign in the front yard. At first I thought it was a mistake. Maybe one of the neighbors was selling and someone put the sign in the wrong place. So I went inside, laughing to myself, ready to tell my parents about the mix-up. Except they weren't laughing, they were packing, suitcases, boxes. The house was half empty. That's when my mom finally turned to me, her face tense. "We sold the house." Just like that. No warning, no conversation, nothing. I felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me. "What do you mean you sold the house?" "Our house?" I asked, my voice shaking. My dad sighed, like he was annoyed that I was even questioning it. "It's not yours," he said. "It's ours. And we made the decision that's best for us." That's when I realized the truth. They never planned to give me the house. They never cared about everything I had done for them. And now, they were walking away with the money without me. But if they thought I was just going to accept it and move on, they were about to find out how wrong they were. I stood there, staring at them, struggling to process what was happening. "You sold the house?" I repeated, as if saying it again would somehow change reality. My mom wouldn't meet my eyes. My dad just shrugged. "We needed the money," he said, like it was no big deal. "We found a nice condo in Florida. We're leaving next week." I felt like I had been punched in the gut. "You told me this house would be mine," I snapped. "You let me believe I was building a future here." My mom sighed, finally looking up at me. "Sweetheart, we never actually promised you that." "Never promised? Me?" I asked, voice cold. "You're an adult," my dad said, waving me off. "You'll figure it out." Just like that. 10 years of taking care of them, paying their bills, handling their problems. And now, I was being tossed out like I never mattered. I clenched my fists, my heart pounding with rage. They thought they could just walk away, take the money, and start a new life while leaving me with nothing? Fine. But if they thought I was just going to let them get away with it, they had no idea what was coming next. That night, after they went to bed, I sat down at my laptop and started digging. Because here's the thing, my parents weren't exactly financial geniuses. They had always been bad with money, which is why I had been the one managing their accounts for years. And guess what? Even though they had already sold the house, the money wasn't all theirs yet. The sale wasn't final for another 2 weeks, which meant I still had time to ruin their plans. And when I found out where they were moving the money to, I smiled, because this was going to be fun. That night, I went through every account, every document, every financial move they had made. And just as I expected, They weren't as smart as they thought. They had two major problems that they hadn't accounted for. First, the sale of the house wasn't finalized yet. The paperwork was in escrow, which meant the money wasn't in their hands yet. It was sitting in a temporary holding account, untouchable until the final signatures were processed. Second, my name was still attached to several of their accounts. Since I had been handling their bills for years, I had access to things they had long forgotten about. They had betrayed me, but they had also left the door wide open for me to destroy them. And now, I was going to make sure that when they left for Florida, they wouldn't have a single penny to their names. I made one phone call the next morning to the real estate agent handling the house sale. "Hi, I'm calling about the pending sale for address. I just wanted to report some undisclosed maintenance issues that I believe violate the agreement." The agent hesitated. "I'm sorry, who is this?" "The current resident. And I have documentation of structural problems that weren't disclosed to the buyer. Now, here's the thing. There weren't actually any major structural problems. But the way home sales work, even the hint of an issue could delay things. And that's exactly what happened. By the end of the day, the sale was put on hold pending inspection, which meant my parents weren't getting their money anytime soon. The next move was even easier. I logged into their shared accounts, ones I had been helping manage for years, and started making some adjustments. Canceled their credit cards, redirected their direct deposits to a new account, one in my name, cut off automatic payments for their condo deposit in Florida. And just like that, my parents were financially stranded. They had been so focused on screwing me over, they didn't even realize how easy it was for me to screw them right back. And the best part? They wouldn't even know until it was too late, because by the time they figured out what I had done, I'd already be long gone. By the time my parents realized something was wrong, I was already one step ahead. I got home from work that evening to find my mom pacing the living room, her phone clutched in her hand. My dad was sitting at the kitchen table, his face red with frustration. "What the hell is going on?" my dad snapped as soon as I walked in. I raised an eyebrow. "Something wrong?" My mom exhaled sharply. "The house sale has been delayed. Some issue with the inspection." I shrugged. "That's unfortunate." "And our accounts are locked," my dad added, standing up. "Our credit cards aren't working. The bank says there were recent changes, but we never made them." I fought back a smirk. "Huh," I said, playing dumb. "Weird timing, huh?" My mom stared at me. "You wouldn't happen to know anything about this, would you?" I tilted my head. "Oh, you mean the way you didn't tell me anything before selling my childhood home? The house I took care of while you two sat back and enjoyed your lives." They exchanged a nervous glance. Because now they knew. I wasn't just going to take their betrayal lying down. I stepped forward, looking them both in the eye. "I'm done cleaning up your messes, I'm done paying your bills, and I'm definitely done being lied to." My dad scoffed. "You're acting like a child. We did what was best for us." I laughed coldly. "Well, now I'm doing what's best for me." They were fuming, but I didn't care, because this conversation didn't even matter. By the time they figured out how deep they were in trouble, it would already be too late. That night, I packed up the last of my things. I had spent years living under their roof, taking care of a house they claimed would be mine one day. But now, I was done. By the next morning, I had moved into a new apartment, one I had signed the lease for weeks ago. And my parents? They woke up to an empty house. No more me handling their bills. No more me fixing things when they broke. No more safety net. And when they finally checked their accounts, they realized they had no access to their own money because everything was still locked down. And the house sale, still on hold. They had nothing. And they had no one to blame but themselves. The morning after I moved out, my phone started blowing up. First, it was my mom, then my dad, then both, back to back. I let it ring, let them stew, let them realize that for the first time in 10 years, I wasn't there to clean up their mess. Finally, I picked up. "Where the hell are you?" my dad demanded. I leaned back in my chair, sipping my coffee. "At my new place." Silence. Then my mom's voice, shaky, uncertain. You moved out?" "Yep." "Why would you do that?" she asked, as if she hadn't just sold the only home I'd ever known right out from under me. I laughed. "Why wouldn't I? It's not my house anymore, right?" My dad let out a frustrated sigh. "Look, we get that you're upset, But you've made your point. Can you just fix whatever you did with the bank? There it was. They didn't care that they had betrayed me. They only cared that they were suffering for it now. Nah, I said simply. Not my problem anymore. You're acting like a child, my dad snapped. I smirked. And you're acting like parents who just got scammed. Oh wait, you scammed yourselves. A few days later, I got another call. This time, it was from their real estate agent. Hey, I just wanted to let you know. The buyers pulled out. I grinned. Oh? Why's that? After the inspection delays and some concerns about unpaid taxes, they decided to walk away. Your parents are not happy. I bet they weren't. Now, instead of a quick sale and a pile of cash, they were left with a house they could no longer afford, no financial backup, and no one to bail them out. And me? I was finally free. Word spread quickly. Friends and family started asking questions. I thought you guys were moving to Florida. What happened? Wait, you mean my name isn't helping you anymore? Didn't he pay for everything? What did you guys do? My parents were too ashamed to tell the truth. They just mumbled excuses, trying to downplay the fact that they had burned the one bridge they actually needed. And me? I didn't say a word. Because their downfall? It wasn't my problem, not anymore. My parents had officially trapped themselves. The house sale fell apart. The buyers walked away. And since they had already put a deposit on their Florida condo, they were now stuck with 2 properties and no money to cover either. I could have helped, but I didn't. And the more people started asking questions, the harder it became for them to hide what they had done. Mutual family friends started calling me. Hey, I just talked to your parents. They said you cut them off? What happened? I didn't sugarcoat it. They lied to me. They sold the house behind my back and thought I'd just be okay with it. Wait, after everything you did for them? Yep. Word spread fast. People who used to respect my parents started distancing themselves. That's messed up. They wouldn't even have that house if it weren't for you. So they really thought they could just take the money and leave you behind? Turns out, people don't like betrayal. And my parents, they were finally seeing the consequences of their selfishness. I expected them to figure something out. Maybe sell some things. Maybe find a way to fix their mistake. Instead, they kept digging their own grave. I got a text from my dad one morning. Dad, look, we've been thinking maybe you should move back in. We can work something out. I stared at the message, almost laughing. Move back in? After they sold the house out from under me? After they made it clear that I was nothing more than a walking ATM to them? I typed out a response. No thanks. You made your choice. Now live with it. Then I blocked their number, because they weren't my problem anymore. A few weeks passed, and I barely thought about them. Then, one day, my aunt called. You're not going to believe this, she said. Try me. Your parents lost the condo. The deal fell through. Now they're stuck in the old house, but they can't afford the payments anymore. I raised an eyebrow. So what are they going to do? She sighed. They're trying to find someone to help them out, but nobody's biting. I smirked. Imagine that. They had betrayed me for money they didn't even get to keep. And now, they were completely alone. I should have felt bad, but I didn't. Because this wasn't my fault. It was theirs. My parents were officially screwed. The house sale had fallen apart. The Florida condo deal? Gone. And now? They were stuck with a mortgage they couldn't afford, and no one left to bail them out. They had spent years treating me like a safety net, expecting me to always be there to fix their problems. But now, they had burned that bridge, and when they realized no one was coming to save them, the begging began. One evening, I got an email from my mom. I almost deleted it without reading, but curiosity got the best of me. We've made a huge mistake. We never meant to hurt you. We just thought we were doing what was best for our future. But now, we realize how wrong we were. Please, can we just talk? I sat there, staring at the screen, shaking my head. They didn't realize they were wrong when they lied to me. They didn't realize they were wrong when they took my money and used me for years. They only realized it when it backfired, when they were broke, alone, and running out of options. I could have replied. I could have given them a second chance. But I didn't. Because some betrayals you don't come back from. I closed the email, didn't reply, didn't even acknowledge it. Because now, they were just strangers to me. A few weeks later, my aunt called me again. They're selling everything, she said. Everything? I asked. Yeah. Their furniture, their cars, even some old jewelry. They're trying to scrape together whatever they can just to keep the house. I smirked. Let me guess. It's not enough? Not even close, she confirmed. My parents had spent years relying on me, never saving a dime. Now, they were losing everything, and for the first time, I didn't feel bad, because they had made their choice, and now they had to live with it. My parents were finally paying the price for their betrayal. They had no savings, no backup plan, no more family members willing to bail them out. And now, they were desperate. One evening, I got another email, this time from my dad. I wasn't going to open it, but I did. We're sorry. We should have handled things differently. We're in a really bad spot now, and we don't know what to do. If there's any way you could help us, even just for a little while, we would be so grateful. I laughed out loud. Grateful? Where was their gratitude when I was paying their bills for years? Where was their gratitude when they sold my childhood home behind my back? Where was their gratitude when they looked me in the eye and said, "You'll figure it out"? Now, when they had nothing, suddenly they wanted my help? Absolutely not. I typed out my response. You made your choice. Now figure it out. And then, I blocked their emails, blocked their numbers, because as far as I was concerned, they no longer existed. A month later, I got a text from my aunt. It's official. Your parents lost the house. The bank is taking it back. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I smiled. The house they had betrayed me for, the money they had chased after, the selfish decision that destroyed our relationship, it was all gone. And the best part, I didn't have to do a damn thing. They did it to themselves. The house was gone. The money was gone. And my parents, they had finally hit rock bottom. My aunt told me they were staying in a cheap rental, barely getting by. The grand Florida dream, dead. The easy life they thought they were buying, vanished. And me? I had moved on. For the first time in years, I was living for myself. No more covering their bills, no more worrying about their problems, no more being their backup plan. Then, one night, I got another message. Not an email, not a text. A handwritten letter delivered to my new apartment. I almost threw it away without opening it, but I didn't. I read it, and honestly, it was pathetic. We know we hurt you, and we know we can't undo what we did, but we're struggling, and we don't have anywhere else to turn. Please, can we just talk? No anger, no excuses, just desperation. For years, they had treated me like I was disposable. Now, they were the ones who had been discarded. I stared at the letter for a long time. Then I tore it up and threw it away. Because their struggles? Not my problem. A few weeks later, I heard from my aunt again. They're looking for jobs, she told me. I raised an eyebrow. Jobs? You mean actual work? Yep. Your dad had to take a gig doing deliveries. Your mom is trying to pick up shifts at a local store. I smirked. For years, they had lived off my generosity. For years, they had let me handle everything, while they sat back and enjoyed the benefits. Now they had to earn every dollar themselves. And honestly, I couldn't have asked for a better ending. My parents had finally lost everything. No house, no money, no one left to bail them out. They had spent years relying on me, expecting me to always be there, always cleaning up their messes. But now, they had to survive on their own. And me, I was finally free. A few months later, I got one final letter. I didn't recognize the handwriting at first, but when I opened it, my stomach twisted. It was from my mom. We know we don't deserve anything from you, but we just wanted to say we're sorry. You were always good to us, and we took advantage of that. We wish we could take it all back. We miss you. I sat there, staring at the words, waiting to feel something, but I didn't, because it was too late. They had made their choice, and now they had to live with it. I didn't respond, I didn't reach out, I just moved on. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't their caretaker. I wasn't their solution. I was just me, and that was the best revenge of all. Some people only realize your worth when it's too late. My parents thought they could betray me, take everything, and still come out ahead. But in the end, they lost everything. And I walked away stronger than ever. Have you ever had someone betray you in a way that changed everything? Drop your stories in the comments. I'd love to hear them. And if you made it this far, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next one.